I've been obsessed with my hair as long as I can remember. I've had bad haircuts and good haircuts, and sometimes I would try cutting my own hair, which turned out to be not the best idea. I used to constantly be playing with it, braiding it, curling it, dyeing it, straightening it, or anything that you could do with your hair. My middle school self did it. I didn't know why I was so obsessed. I just loved looking a certain way because it made me feel good. I loved being noticed for having something pretty to show off, something that every girl would cry if they lost it. My hair was my personality. My hair was my expression. My hair was my favorite part of me. Until it wasn't. It's always been a dream of mine to have long hair. I was always wanting to look a certain way, and have perfect hair was my own requirement for being accepted. I put so much pressure on myself to look beautiful, and I always compared myself to someone better looking than me. In middle school, this self-talk became more constant. Constantly trying to be noticed for my looks, constantly changing the way I dress, the way I act, and the way I see myself. I got to a point where I put so much pressure on myself it became too much. I moved around to many different schools before I started high school, and in 8th grade, I remember the stress got so bad, I started doing something that it really made no sense to me or anyone else around me. I developed a behavior to cope with the stress. This behavior was pulling out my own hair, and this behavior is called trichotillomania. Trichotillomania is a condition where someone pulls out their own hair on their head, eyebrows, or eyelashes. For me, I pulled out my own hair in my head, and I still do. This condition has no real cause, and it affects over 20 million people in the US. I hid this condition for years. I never wanted to admit to anyone that I was doing this. So I kept quiet. In high school, I was able to hide it, and almost completely stopped due to the fear of being bullied by people at school. But my love for hair didn't go away. I still loved doing my hair, and I also found out I loved doing other people's hair too. After successfully completing high school, without anyone knowing that I pulled my own hair out, I enrolled in cosmetology school. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do as a career, but I always knew that I loved doing hair and making other people feel beautiful. So I chose this path. But I refused to get help for my mental health before this major change, and that was a mistake. The pressure I felt in middle school and high school to look beautiful just increased by 1,000 overnight. Not only was I at the peak of my Adderall addiction, I was a person that pulled their own hair out and went to cosmetology school. You'd think I would go running in the other direction, but I was getting so much support from my family, and I really didn't want to let anyone down. I was completely consumed by anxiety, and instead of facing my fears, I did what I knew best: take drugs to achieve instant confidence. The amount of Adderall that I took led me to pull my hair out even more. Once that drug kicked in, my fingers needed that pulling sensation. The pulling got so bad that I needed to do something else to cover it up. I can't comb over the bald spots anymore. I needed something more. So I started using extensions for the very first time, and I haven't gone a day without wearing them since. I started with clip-in extensions and hiding them by parting my hair to the side so the weft wouldn't show. Until eventually I pulled so much that I couldn't even do that. As you can see in the pictures here, it's noticeable if I point it out, but if you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't notice it. Eventually, I had to use actual hair pieces. This is where it would take me a while to do my hair. In the picture here, I was taking a picture to see if the weft was showing, so I would do that over and over again until it wasn't showing, and that's where it took almost 2.5, 3 hours to get ready. I stayed in school for almost 2 years. I ended up quitting January 2013. I was coming into school after being awake for days, and my addiction just took over completely. This was also around the time that I was getting 2 different prescriptions from 2 different doctors. I was at a very low point of my Adderall addiction. I wasn't at my lowest, but I was very close. The week that I quit school was one of the weeks where we were required to perform exams on other students. I did my exam on my partner, and then instead of getting the exam done to me, I walked out of school. I came back the next day, but that week I decided I couldn't do it. When I was high, I was numb. which allowed me to avoid the shame and insecurity that I should have felt naturally. I took the drugs not only to go out to social gatherings, but just to feel okay with the way I looked. When the pills ran out, it was terrifying because I had to face the fact that I'd destroy myself in this way. And I was always on the lookout for more drugs, because the sober me just couldn't handle it. The extreme disconnection between my sober mind and my high mind became so blurry that I had no idea what I was capable of anymore. When I was high, I focused 100% on being a musician, but when I was sober, I never sang and I never went to work or even go out with friends. I thought the person I was on drugs was the person I needed to be to make everyone around me happy, especially myself. I quit taking Adderall April 2015, and since then my hair pulling has decreased a lot. I still do it when I experience anxiety, but now I can find ways to distract myself from doing it. I've also found tricks over the years to cover up all the bald spots. I can get ready a lot faster, and it makes my morning routine a lot less stressful. My hair has not yet grown back the same, but instead of feeling sorry for myself, I treat myself so much better with positive self-talk and talking to others about it. I'm more comfortable now talking about it than I've ever been, but it used to be the only thing I think about every single time I left the house. Now, I feel totally fine just throwing on a hat and going to the store. The routine I implemented involves covering up the extensions by using a headband just like this. I have an entire tutorial on how to do this, and if you're interested, the link is right below in the description box. Sharing this story with you guys is not easy. I get anxiety just thinking about what all of you might think. I try to remind myself of the people who may be struggling and need these options. I want to show you guys that if you also have this condition, it does not define you. You can still live the happiest life. Health and fitness not only made a huge difference in staying sober, it also plays a big role in my hair pulling. When I feel healthy, I'm less likely to do these self-destructing things, and I'm more likely to feel confident in myself. I always found myself trying new things and challenging myself, and if I let my condition define me, none of those things would be possible. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you know someone struggling, please share this video with them. And if you'd like to see what my hair actually looks like, just feel free to click the link below. Thanks guys, and have a happy, healthy, and sober day.